Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Group Captain David Scott. We warmly welcome the family of Private Walter Stanley Simpson, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony around Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors and students on behalf of the following school: Narrogin Senior High School from Western Australia. Please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Walter Simpson. Walter was born in 1889, one of 8 children of Robert and Isabel Simpson of the Melbourne suburb of Canterbury. He attended Canterbury State School and worked as a salesman before attending the Australian Coaching College and became a Baptist home missionary. For a brief period of time, Simpson carried out missionary work in Burnie, Tasmania, where he regularly wrote short poems and Sunday verse. In July 1915, Simpson enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Melbourne. After a period of training at Broadmeadows Camp, he embarked with a reinforcement group for the 23rd Battalion, bound for the training camps of Egypt. On the troop ship, he wrote a short verse that evokes the pride he felt in answering his country's call. On, press on, ye warriors brave and true. Be strong, be firm, the victory is to you. Fight for your God, your country, and your king, and all the world forthwith your praise shall sing. The fighting on Gallipoli had ended when Simpson arrived, and the AIF spent the following months training and undergoing a major restructure before embarking for the fighting in France. As part of this restructure, Walter was transferred to the 59th Battalion, which formed part of the newly raised 5th Division, and sailed for the Western Front in June 1916. Arriving in France, the 59 Battalion entered the line near the village of Fleurbay and spent just 2 weeks in the trenches before being committed to its first major attack on the Western Front. On the night of the 19th of July 1916, the 5th Division made a costly and unsuccessful attack on the German positions outside the village of Fromelles, which resulted in 5,500 casualties in less than 24 hours. Some historians say it was the worst 24 hours in Australia's history. Attacking in the first wave assault, the men of the 59th Battalion were cut down by withering German machine gun fire from a position known as the Sugarloaf. It was supposed to have been destroyed by British and Australian artillery fire. An Australian soldier who witnessed the attack described the air thick with bullets, swishing in a flat, crisscrossed lattice of death. Hundreds of men were mown down in the flicker of an eyelid, like great rows of teeth knocked from a comb. When the fighting stopped several hours later, the 59th Battalion had suffered no less than 695 casualties. Among the missing was Private Walter Simpson. A court of inquiry later determined that he had been killed in action. As his remains were never recovered, he is among the 1,300 Australian soldiers killed in the action who are commemorated at the VC Corner Cemetery and Memorial at Fromelles. He was 26 years old. His name is listed on the honour roll on my right and is among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. He is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Walter Simpson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world. days shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thoughts in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last posted ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and good evening.